My life definitely changed. Like my whole personality changed, my confidence level changed, my career changed, everything about me changed. But more importantly, people around me also changed. Like my husband became more confident, my kids became more confident. And then we all do interesting, fun things together as a family. And I made new friends and my social circle changed. And I don't know, just a lot of positive impacts in my life in so many different ways that I just can't wait for more people to experience that.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to this very exciting episode of Connect with Confidence podcast. This is season 2. We just thought, when does it become a new season? But this is 2021, and we did a fantastic launch with Tracy Hewitt last week, talking about creativity and compassion and courage. And I'm so excited to introduce you to another courageous friend who I met recently in Melbourne, but we connected through LinkedIn, as has been her way of connecting with so many people. So I'm super excited to introduce you to Kaley Chu, who is the author of 100 Lunches with Strangers. So we're going to just dive in and ask Kaley all kinds of questions. So welcome, Kaley.
Thank you. Hello, Kerrie. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me today.
Well, we love talking about, growing in confidence. We love talking about connecting, and there's so many amazing things that happen when we connect with strangers, when we have any conversation, but particularly strangers, because we're open to kind of anything happen. We don't know where the conversation's going to go, and we know that, whereas we make assumptions about the people that we know. And I feel like there's just so much discovery that can happen in a conversation with a stranger, and so many new connections in our thinking. So, Kaley, do you want to just give us a little background, how you came to be lunching with strangers?
A very quick version of my story. I wasn't born here. I was born in Hong Kong, and I came here about 14 years ago for education. And for the first 13 years, 12 years in my life, I was just super duper shy, and I lived in my little bubble, hanging out people from my own country, eating Hong Kong food, watching Hong Kong TV, Hong Kong news, like everything's about Hong Kong. Even though I'm in Australia, I'm living in the Hong Kong bubble, which nothing's wrong with that. I know a lot of immigrants do that, and a lot of my friends still doing that. But then I think I reached my breaking point when I got a new job where I couldn't say a single word during a meeting, which I felt humiliated. And I thought, that's not okay. I got to do something. In particular, I've got 2 young kids. They looking at what mummy and daddy's doing, and I want to show them that, hey, this is not okay. Mummy's going to do something to fix it. So that's how I got the idea of having lunch with strangers to build up my confidence.
That's amazing. And there's so much there I want to unpack already. But first of all, just tell me, how old were your kids when you made that decision?
That was 2 years ago. So they are now 4 and 7. So 2 and 4, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they won't remember that point of change, but they've got it in this amazing book. And
but then I already see some impacts on me, because when I take them to the mother's group, because I wasn't talking to other mums, I feel like they're copying my behavior by not talking with other kids as well, because they're like me and my kids in a corner with other kids and other mums and other parents in the group, and I felt like this is not okay.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's interesting. And, you shared about all these other friends from Hong Kong that might still be in that bubble. And it's so understandable, because we do tend to connect where we feel most comfortable. It does often take a choice to move ourselves out of the comfort zone, even just to push those boundaries a little bit. But that was a very clear decision for you to start connecting with strangers. And so why lunches? Why did you decide to have lunch with strangers, and how did you get the ball rolling? How did you find these people?
Why lunches? As I said, I'm a mum, full-time job. So every day I go to work. When I'm home, I have to look after the kids, and weekends are family days. Usually we go to the park, to the zoo, to the aquarium, I don't know, everywhere. So literally the only time that I've got for myself that's really belong to me is my lunchtime. So that was an easy decision. If I want to change something, maybe that's where I want to start with. Plus I love food, and I thought, instead of having lunch by myself or with my colleagues, so maybe I should utilize my lunchtime to meet more people. And Yeah, and when I first started, I just want to be able to talk to people. That's all I was thinking, but turns out that it changed my life in every single aspect. It was so cool. And how I found those people when I first started, majority of them, I'd say 90% plus of them were from LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's an amazing place to meet people. And I think especially in, 2020, 2021, when a lot of people are still working from lockdown, there is the ability to connect with anyone, anywhere. And of course, there's so many different social media platforms. But yeah, LinkedIn has, I guess, been a great place for you to connect with people in Melbourne, also in your neighbourhood as well as online.
Yes, I thought that's like a relatively professional platform, which I feel comfortable with inviting people out for lunch. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. And so, what was the message that you sent when did you just send a friend request and then say, hi, this is why I'm connecting? Or did you reach out to people you were already connected with on LinkedIn?
It was pretty straightforward. I literally just tell people, "Hey, Happy New Year," or maybe not. Depends on when I send a message. In 2018, I've got a New Year resolution for having lunch with 100 strangers, and I read your profile, and I really like that you do whatever. I don't know, have this lovely podcast that I'm interested in, or something that I like about you. And this is a little bit information about me. So can we catch up for lunch? And it's just that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's how we connected. You sent me a message on LinkedIn and I'm not surprised when somebody connects with me on LinkedIn because of Do Talk to Strangers, because there it is in my bio and people go, oh, so I can talk to her. And so I looked at your profile. I'm like, fantastic. Here's somebody else in Australia talking to strangers. So that's beautiful. So what are some of your favorite recent memories? You've got some awesome ones in the book, but if there's some even since publishing your book that have really stood out to you as memorable and you've thought, oh, I wish I had that in the book.
There are so many of them.
Yeah.
That's one that I'm really, really, really thankful for, is someone who's done what I want to do next, which is building a new technology startup business, which is completely brand new for me. That's another thing that's totally out of my comfort zone, because I studied commerce when I was in uni, and my whole career is all about financial planning. I have no knowledge about technology whatsoever, but then I'm doing a tech startup. So that lunch that I had with someone, he's so generous and just shares so much knowledge with me. This is what you should do. This is the book you need to read. These are the people you need to connect with. I reckon that conversation saved me hundreds, if not thousands, hours of frustrations on what am I going to do next and how do I make it happen, that was really, really, really good. And then also I've met someone recently that turned out to be one of my best friends. It's funny, like how you don't, it's not about how much time you spend together. We do spend a lot of time together, but but like not how long you know each other for, but we really connect so well. So I don't know, lots of them, just really, really good.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I think I've seen it on a little image, going around the internet, something around, you just find a person and you go, I like this one. And so you hang out with them, you become friends. And it can be that simple sometimes, it's that immediate, it's the platonic or friendship version of love at first sight. You just go, I like this person. That's really cool.
Yes.
And have you been connecting with strangers then in other ways, just in your everyday, where you've gone, oh, here's a cool person that I could have more conversation with?
Absolutely. I think since the journey unfold, I became a lot more crazy. Now I just more curious about people, and I just meet lots of people that I go, that looks so interesting. Like when I just go to a show and there's a stand-up comedian on the stage, or MC on the stage, or just random person doing some random things, and I go, that's so interesting. I would just go and talk to them, and sometimes I just hand out my little business card. I actually have a business card there. Doesn't matter. It says let's catch up for lunch, with all my details on there, and say, hey, let's catch up for lunch. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes they'll be like, okay, why not? And we'll just have lunch together.
Yeah. Now, I saw you having lunch, because you did a virtual lunch with Shane Jacobson.
Oh, yes, we did. And that was an amazing lunch. He's just a beautiful human being. I love him so much.
That was so lovely. So for our international listeners, do you want to tell us a bit about Shane?
Shane is just cool. I don't know. He's like the Australia Got Talents judge, and he's got a few movies, and he's just everywhere. It's just
Yeah.
amazing that in amongst all his busy schedule, he said yes to my lunch invitation. To be honest, it wasn't a smooth yes. He said yes, but then he said, I'm busy and I'm busy and busy. It took me like at least 6 or 7 follow-ups to get that lunch happen, but it's so
Wow.
worth it. That lunch was amazing because it changed my life in a way that I didn't expect. It has nothing to do with his movie career or his, like, I don't know, celebrity gossips. Nothing, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Um, it's just his listening skills and the way that he engaged me to share about my life story, about how I interact with my parents and things. And then he told me, Kaley, what's the number one thing that movie, people like to put in a movie to make people cry? He said, you're unable to express your love before your loved one pass away. He told me that because I told him I've never ever said I love you to my mom ever in my
Oh,
entire life. No, maybe I
yeah.
did when I was really, really little. I don't remember, but probably not.
Yeah.
So at 30 years old, after he's challenging me to say I love you to my mom, I did it for the first time, and that's like like a lovely, lovely moment that I really
Wow.
thank him for pushing me to do that.
That's incredible. And did you see your mum, or was that over the phone?
It was over the phone, but it was on the Mother's Day, and then I made it a little special, and I say a lot of things prior to that I love you moment. It's almost like a proposal, like a marriage proposal. So it was like my heart was pumping so fast. It was a scary moment, like
Wow.
because I've never said it. Like I know that she loves me and she knows that I love her, but then it's just we just never say it. I think it's a cultural thing, or I don't know. They just
Yeah. So what was her response then?
I expected her to cry, but she just laughed.
That's awesome.
Come on, like when people get marriage proposal or anything like that, she should be crying. Maybe she did. I don't know. It was on the phone, but she just laughed the whole time. And then she said, I'm proud of you too. And then I'm not sure if she said, I love you back. Probably not. But something along those lines to show that she loves and she cares. And yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah, I can only imagine how proud they are of you. So have you seen your mum? I know we've got travel issues and stuff, but have you seen your mum since you published the book?
Yes, I did. She came to my book launch. She doesn't understand a thing, but then she was so proud, like filming the whole thing, and sharing it to the family group and say, "Hey, this is my daughter," and sharing in all her social media. But she's, I have no idea what they're talking about, but it seems like people like her, and and she's happy. So.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I've got tears in my eyes. I can just
Oh.
imagine her there at the book launch just going, wow, my daughter has done this thing. That's incredible, Kaley. And I related to your story, and especially like reading your book is so special because I totally get it. I know how it's incredible to connect with somebody who's from a completely different world and you learn so much. You just feel like it enriches your life. And I wrote my book about talking to strangers because people asked me to. They said, how do you have these conversations with people? And so I have found there's an assumption that I can talk to strangers because I'm confident. And I would say, no, I think it's that there's many times where I've had to overcome a sense of inadequacy, feeling inhibited, and, feeling like the least in the room. But it was that desire to learn and grow that would push me out of my comfort zone. It's like, I need to go and talk to this person. And I also saw that as I developed a coaching business, and I had no money to start with, I just couldn't, promote myself with like ads in the newspaper, back in 2004. I just had conversations with people, but my desire was to, to connect, to learn, to grow, to contribute. And I noticed very quickly that if my intention was to get clients, it put me in a more nervous space.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't just, showing up freely, just no strings attached. And I love just being in that space of having no strings attached, but just being able to connect and contribute and learn and grow. But so I related to, your sense of shyness, but I probably grew up in a space where I wasn't allowed to just hide in the corner because my dad would push me forward. So I think while I've had lots of little insights along the way about, connecting with people, talking to strangers, for you, it was a very sudden turning point. So you were able to very quickly, well, after 100 lunches, you were able to document that and share that in a book, which is highly recommended reading for everybody, whether you see yourself on the shy end of the spectrum or if you're really confident, because I just think there's value in it for everybody. But Kaley, tell us, for people who maybe have, similar background to you and they've just grown up in their bubble, what would you recommend as, some first steps in terms of shifting thinking or just taking some actions?
First step recommendation. What's the best thing that could happen? I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like this is a really life-changing journey for me, but at the same time, I'm not very good at convincing other people to do the same. But the ones that actually say, yes, I'm going to give it a shot and do that, their lives change too completely. And they've got so many lovely stories to share with the world. And I'm just so happy. Like, I feel like I'm on a mission to tell people this simple thing to do to get out of the comfort zone. Where am I going for this? So you say, what's the first step to do?
Yeah, well, I love that you said, what's the best thing that can happen? Because so all kinds of amazing things can happen. And I like that because, sometimes people say, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, you could, create all kinds of disastrous images in your head, but really it's probably just that people might say no or just get up and walk away, which is an awful feeling, let's be honest. However, when you start exploring what's the best thing that could happen, oh my gosh, they might know things that I've always wanted to know. They might introduce me to other people that are doing cool things, or all kinds of beautiful things can happen. So I just love that you threw that question out while you're saying, I don't know how to answer this question, but there's a beautiful start.
You might get an inspiration that completely change your life, or sometimes just one idea can change your life, or one connection can change your life. And every person who's important to you, like that's true story. When I had my book launch last year, and I had a full list people that I want to thank to on the stage, like 30 something people that really, really changed my life and make a huge impact on my life. And then I look at the list, I'm like, wow, like 90% of them I don't even know, like a year ago. But then they changed my life in such a short period of time. And every person, like your best friend was a stranger at some point before, your partner was a stranger before. So just think about all the good possible things that could happen. And just do it. I remember that's a video that I always show to people when I do my speaking gig, because now I do like speaking sometimes. So that's my skydiving video.
Wow, that's cool.
That I love to share with people, because I was screaming on the plane, and before I even jumped off the plane, I was screaming and screaming and screaming. I go, this is scary and I don't want to do it. And I go, why would I even have that idea? But the moment that I jumped off the plane, the view was beautiful and it was so, so, so worth it. And it's just a lovely experience. And when I got to the ground, it's true story, I did this. Like, I did a super happy dance that I couldn't control myself, but do the happy dance. And that's like very similar to life in so many different ways. Like when I did my lunch with strangers, I think the scariest part is actually before I start, and I was picturing, what am I going to talk about? Why is that? Like, why do I want to do this? What if he's not a nice person? What if like she doesn't like me? Like, there's no reason why someone would not like you and come and have lunch with you in the first place. But those questions that was in their head. But once you started the journey, it was just like when you jump out of the plane and you look at a beautiful view, and it's just so worth it. And now I'm just doing the happy dance all the time and like, hey, my life changed, and please do this. Please try this. This is a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. I love that. And I'm just picturing, I've grown up in a family of skydivers, and my mum actually did a tandem jump. So you did tandem, I guess?
Yes, tandem, yes.
Yeah, I thought, because I think I've seen photos. So Yeah, my mum did a tandem with one of Australia's world champions. Like they were preparing in Australia for the world championships in Spain, but they were practicing in Dubbo because it's a similar climate. So I know that if somebody is too scared, they won't make them jump. But obviously, the guy that jumped with you probably knew she's terrified, but she wants to do this. So it's a fine line sometimes, like, you know, terrifying yourself to the point of being sick, or, you know, terrifying yourself to the point of, you know, like, I'm going to do this, and then you have that incredible breakthrough. Like that's, I can imagine you dancing and just jumping up and down and screaming, because that is such a triumph. You know,
Honestly, if I had to jump myself, I probably wouldn't do it. But I was like,
yeah,
you know, you got strapped to the other guy on the tandem jump. So
yeah,
yeah,
and
no choice.
I think that's why a lot of people do it with the tandem, because they kind of don't have a choice. But you did have a choice to get in the plane.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, to get strapped in and then get in the plane with him. So yeah, well done. That's so beautiful. And it's like there are so many choices that we can make. It doesn't have to be just talking to strangers, but getting out of the comfort zone. You know, doing the tandem skydiving, or the bungee jump, or, you know, getting on a bike and riding it if you haven't done that for a long time. You know, I was a bit nervous when I started riding in town because I'd grown up on a farm. And so there was a bit of push bikes, but, you know, motorbikes, horses, that's another story. But but to ride in town, yeah, pretty scary. But I was comforted and encouraged by my 13-year-old son at the time. So we, you know, we got on with it and was proud of myself for doing it. So I love, Kaley, that you said one idea can change your life and one connection can change your life. So I know that we both want to encourage our listeners to look for opportunities to connect with strangers, to you know, maybe invite them for lunch, and I love that that's what suited your lifestyle because of your schedule. Lunch was where it was, you know, your free time during the day, and I think there's great value in looking at how can I best do this? How can I best stretch myself? How can I best, you know, position myself to meet new people? And maybe it's going to art galleries and commenting to somebody like, wow, that art is incredible. What does it remind you of anything? Or, you know, just engaging with people in the everyday, because those conversations can be so beautiful. So let's tell people what is coming up this year. I know you've got some projects coming up, but we also have a combined project that's coming up very soon. And our first conversation. So we had lunch. I was one of your strangers that met with you for lunch virtually. So I joined you on Zoom. And I think it was at the end of that conversation.
Yes.
And then I had a conversation with you and John. Maybe that was another conversation afterwards.
Yes, the second one. Yes,
that's right. So it was my second conversation with you, and it was actually, I think, my second conversation with John, because he was a stranger I connected with on LinkedIn because of mutual friends. We had a great conversation. I need to get him on a podcast too. So John Di Natale, who is also in Melbourne, joined us for that second call, and I said, Kaley, I would love to, you know, have some of your stories shared in my next book. So that is currently in, you know, final editing stages, and I was kind of a bit hard on myself towards the end of last year. I really wanted to get it out before Christmas, because that's what I've done with previous books. There's like the end of the year deadline. But I also had set a goal with another coach about creating a book that we're all proud of. And I went, yeah, I need to take the pressure off and not rush it, because this book is going to be one that we're all proud of. And I loved your contributions to that. So we're talking about how to talk to strangers to decrease anxiety, to build confidence, and make a bigger difference in the world. Yes. And you shared some incredible stories there. And I'm not sure if you can think of those at the moment or just in general, but can you share with us a time of where you were anxious and a stranger helped you to let go of that anxiety? Or maybe it was a shared experience of anxiety.
There are lots of times that I'm nervous, to be honest. Even now, I feel like I'm so much confident than, you know, than I was like 2 years ago. There are still moments that I'm nervous when I'm in a complete brand new, unknown, no location. Like earlier this year when I joined PSA, Professional Speaker Australia conference, I was terrified. Like I felt overwhelmed by all those successful people in the room. But then I literally had to step out of the venue and then have a drink before I walked back in because I didn't know what to say. Usually I'm pretty good at all the networking event now, but on that particular day, I was just completely overwhelmed. But then that lovely lady came and talked to me and introduced me to her other friends and got me into the conversation. And that just makes me feel so nice. That's just one situation that popped in my head.
Yeah, that's lovely. And you know what? People can make an assumption at an event like that everybody else is confident. And if we just switch our focus to how can I help someone feel welcome, then it actually diminishes our anxiety. Like I notice that myself. If I walk in thinking, who do I want to talk to? Then yeah, I can have some apprehension. But if I am looking around and I see people by themselves, I just really want to like almost rescue them because, you know, I know what it's like to be the kid that's like on the outside. And yeah, so when I see people that are not confidently walking up to a group, like I can do that if I see people that just look great and there might be like a group of 3 people and I think, you know, oh, I can just go and you catch someone's eye, you smile at them and they'll let you into the circle. But I really feel for the people that are standing on the outside going, oh, when's my friend going to get here? Or do I really have to be here? That's often where I go to start a conversation because I forget to be nervous if I'm, you know, in service to others. And so I found that actually really works for me. But we make assumptions about conferences like that everybody's confident. And I know when I went to the Asia Professional Speakers Convention, I was just super excited. But I know that a lot of new speakers are looking around the room going, oh my gosh, everybody is so experienced and so professional. And oh, their jackets are really nice. I should have worn the other suit. Yeah, we just got to be kind to ourselves, I think, and kind to others, not make those assumptions that everybody else is more confident. That's just that comparison game that trips us up every time. Have you found that? Have you found yourself comparing yourself to people?
Inevitably, sometimes I do, but most of the time I'm pretty good at just be myself and don't worry about what other people think. And yeah.
And that is like such an important key to just be yourself because yourself is awesome and interesting. And actually that reminds me, you did talk about that in the book and maybe in your TED talk, you talked about being interesting, like having something to say. So this is what started your skydiving and other brave activities, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Actually, I got that skydiving idea from a cancer survivor, which is really cool. He did it on his 50th birthday. So that got me the inspiration on doing it on my 30th birthday.
Oh, that's nice. So he would have been proud of you to do that even 20 years earlier than he did.
He's another amazing story. But yeah, just get my life definitely become a lot more interesting since I started the journey for having lunch with strangers. I pushed myself to do lots of things I never thought would ever happen.
Yeah,
like doing a podcast with you, for example.
yeah, because I remember when I invited you to contribute to the book and you paused and John said, Kaley, this is where you say yes, thank you. And you know, I love having those friends in our lives that push us forward when we want to hesitate and think, oh, I'm not good enough, I don't have anything to contribute, or why me? There's a friend that just gives you a gentle shove. So if you don't have those kind of people in your life, my friends, then listen to this recording again. We are cheering you on and saying, say yes to some of those beautiful opportunities that come your way. So Kaley, anything else that you want to share that you've got coming up this year?
Coming up this year, my focus is just build a platform to connect strangers together, because while I do it on LinkedIn, it's not the best platform to invite strangers out for lunch. You need to send a connection request, you have to find out where they're located, and then tell them why you're doing it, and most people say no or ignore you. That's my experience anyway. So in order to make this process easier for people, we're building this 100lunches.com. We've got a few hundred members on there already who already say yes to this idea, saying that yes, I'd love to have lunch with strangers, and you can just sort by who's available tomorrow, next week, and who's near you, sort by, proximity, distance, and find a few people to have lunch with. That's what I'm really, really passionate doing now. Yeah.
It's fantastic because there is that shared connection already. It's like being in the same room. When you're in the same platform online, you already have cut out so much that makes you different because you've connected on this. I'm actually here to connect with more people. So It's like we have that thing in common. And anything in common. It doesn't matter, like if it's the art gallery, like I mentioned before, you've got this piece of artwork in front of you in common, but just to find one thing in common. And so I love that you're creating that platform, because being a connector is so fun and rewarding, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
And you can probably think of people that have met because of you, because of your 100 lunches journey, that they've gone and had lunches with other people.
I got like lots of thank you emails, and one, like even the video testimonial, like I didn't ask for this. She just told me that, hey, thank you so much, this journey changed my life. And another guy told me recently that I found my business partner through your platform, and I'm so happy about that, because he's got those business idea for a long time, never bumped into anyone that's share this similar value or interests or something, and that's lunch got him a new business partner.
That's
that was
fantastic.
recently.
Yeah. I love those stories. They're beautiful. So, and again, I would invite our listeners to share your stories and tag 100 lunches with strangers. Do talk to strangers. #connect with confidence. We love hearing your stories and love hearing about the way that people can connect and make a bigger difference. So, there'll be more updates on that book soon also. But and I want to interview everybody who's contributed to the book. But I said to Lyndon, we don't have to wait for the book to be finished. I'm going to talk to Kaley this week and share about 100 lunches with strangers. And the subtitle is A Simple Way to Step Out of Your Comfort Zone and Transform Your Life. So it's not just a little stepping out of the comfort zone, it actually can be transformational. So thank you so much, Kaley, for sharing your transformation. Is there anything that you want to add to that? Like, how else have you transformed? Or
no, I think more importantly, not just transform your life, because my life definitely changed. Like my whole personality changed, my confidence level changed, my career changed, everything about me changed. But more importantly, people around me also changed. Like my husband became more confident, my kids became more confident, and then we all do interesting, fun things together as a family, and I made new friends, and my social circle changed, and I don't know, just a lot of positive impacts in my life in so many different ways that I just can't wait for more people to experience that.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for your time today, Kaley.
Thank you so much, Kerrie, for having me today.
And thank you to our dear listeners for joining the conversation. So please give us feedback. Tell us what you loved and what action are you taking because of this conversation today.